Hi, everybody. We are going to talk about universal law number 8, which is the perpetual transmutation of energy. Just going to give a few minutes, see if anybody hops on. I don't know about you guys, but normally the full moon brings me a lot of energy, and this month it's kind of draining me. Completely drained. I'm actually going to pull myself a card and see what I need to do to get over this. I hope you guys can hear me. If not, I apologize. So the card that I pulled was light. It's terrible. Light. And you'll know in the morning. So apparently, I need to give myself some Reiki and maybe do some meditation tonight. Will I do that? I don't know. I should. I had other things on the agenda. Okay. I'm going to get started. So law number 8, the perpetual transmutation of energy. This law states that all persons have within them the power to change the conditions of their lives. Higher vibrations consume and transform lower ones. Thus, each of us can change the energies in our lives by understanding the universal laws and applying the principles in such a way as to affect change. What does that mean? So earlier today, I posted a card. I posted the Wheel of Fortune. My glasses are so crooked, it's not even funny. I'm so sorry. Hi, Ange. So Wheel of Fortune has always been my favorite card. And I know that I posted this earlier today. And the reason why this is my favorite card, sorry if I just made y'all dizzy, is this is always a reminder, and you can see all decks are a little bit different. So I know in the one that I posted earlier, there was a picture of a book. And so a lot of people picked up on knowledge, which knowledge we all know comes from within. I know you are, Ange, and you're doing a great job. You're working on it, and you're doing a great job, and you're doing what you need to do, which is take care of you, right? We all need to take care of ourselves. I actually just pulled a couple of cards for myself from the unicorn deck, and I got light and you'll know in the morning. So I'm supposed to meditate tonight. We'll see how that goes. But the Wheel of Fortune to me, because it's my favorite card, is always a reminder, and I see this card everywhere, that nothing is static, okay? Everything changes. Energy is always in motion. It's around you all the time. And so even though we can sometimes refuse to see that it's changing, it's always turning positive. So we all know there's dark and there's light, there's negative and there's positive, there's good emotions and there's bad emotions. And when I talk about the perpetual transmutation of energy, it's a lot of words that mean things aren't always going to be bad. Things are going to turn around. Easier said than done. And I totally recognize that. So when I started going through all of these individually, it immediately reminded me of the Wheel of Fortune, which is always my go-to. Bad things happen. Good times can happen too. And one of my issues with some of the laws is that if you just read them straight out, it appears like all you need to do is focus on the opposite spectrum. And that's kind of a little bit of a misconception. Just focusing on the opposite spectrum helps. It's not long lasting in my experience, and I can only speak for myself. So when you are in one of those negative places, you're in one of those dark places, what you want to really focus on is, and it's hard to do sometimes, focus on something good. Think about something good. Revisit the law number 5, which is what's the cause that has led to this effect? Because law number 5 was the law of cause and effect. So what is the issue that's happening or that happened in the past that led to this outcome? Sometimes this is really an emotional root. Excuse me, before this, I do not want this to start. This might actually cut off in 15 minutes. So sometimes it's an emotional root. Sometimes it's from a past life that you've carried over. Sometimes it's from childhood. And if you're able to really figure that out, whether an illness or whether it's a material issue that you're having, and it could be anything, and I can't really give examples for that because it could be anything. Anything could be the cause for what you're dealing with. And then you also really want to ask, what can I do to make this better? So you want to enact the law of change, which was law number 3. What can I do to make this situation better? Because when you're active, nothing seems as bad. You know, when you're active and you're really trying to make a difference, the difference just sort of happens. So whether it's health, you know, I think when we talked about the law of change, we talked about, you know, our health issues and how almost none of us completely 100% follow doctor's advice. And if we're just using, you know, prayer or affirmations to make something happen, but we're not actually enacting the change and making the changes and following through with them, we're probably going to see a little bit of results, but you're going to see more if you follow through with doctor's advice on medical issues. You know, I'm supposed to do a lot more exercising than I do, and the reason I don't is because I'm afraid of low blood sugar. Because low is awful. And it makes you feel like you're dying for like 45 minutes. So when I do exercise, I have to take precautions. I have to drink juice or have a snack. And that kind of counteracts the whole exercising to shed a few pounds. That's how I deal with it. You know, I don't want my blood sugar to be low if I'm going to exercise or even do yoga, so I have snacks beforehand. Now, I could certainly manage that better. I could have glucose, which would not be a ton of carbohydrates. Do I do that? No, because it's easier to grab a juice box or grab a granola bar, you know, on the way to yoga than it is to stop at Rite Aid and get glucose. So, I mean, I'm in control of that, and I recognize that, and I work on it. So when you're doing this, when you're looking to recognize the cause that's led to the effects, whether it's a physical issue, a material issue, an issue that's outside of your control, because remember, sometimes the cause is outside of our control, and we can see where that led to what the issue is, and then we enact some changes, some really big changes in some cases. What we're able to do is we're working on focusing on the positive by being active. So you're basically not just waiting for the good times to come, you're seeking it out. You're looking for it. You know, I know I personally see a lot of this with people who are grieving. And one thing that's really important is to remember that nobody grieves the same. Everybody's different. And it's hard for that person who's stuck in grief if you're trying to help them, or who might be stuck in addiction and you're trying to help them. And grief is not just the death of a loved one. You know, grief happens, divorce, loss of relationship, loss of your job, children leave home, and a lot of parents struggle with the grieving process. Because I think they call it empty nest syndrome, and at that point you've spent so much time, you know, caring for your children that you don't really know what you enjoy, what you like to do. I mean, I've asked, I have a friend who struggled with that, and I remember asking her, well, what do you want to do? What do you enjoy doing? And she could not answer me because she didn't know. And that's normal. That happens to a lot of people. So all of those things really take a toll on us, you know. But what we really have to remember with perpetual transmutation of energy is that energy is not static. It's never going to be static. It's always moving. You know, if you read a little bit about physics, you'll pick up on that. You know, energy is constant. Energy is in motion. Energy is, you know, like this fan. It's always moving. It's always changing. The fan is never going to blow the same temperature of air because the air around it is different. Okay? So just remember, like the Wheel of Fortune, good times come, and try to see what about the situation can you change. And that's something that's important too, is taking the situation and writing things down. This is the situation. This is what's happening. What can I control about this situation? What can I do to make this situation better? And sometimes it's completely out of our control. It has to do with someone else. And in that situation, that's the other person's problem. It's the other person's issue. You can't fix it for them, you know? So Why are you going to stress about it for them? You're probably stressing about something that they're not stressing about. So maybe it's not an issue for them. So if if an issue that you struggle with has to do with someone else, that's really time to kind of let that go, okay? Because you can't fix someone else. You can offer advice, and you can be, empathetic to what they're dealing with, and you can put yourself in their shoes as much as possible. But if it gets down to that point where their situation is bringing you down with a lot of negativity or a lot of depression or a lot of anxiety, it might be time to step that away and set up some boundaries, okay? So remember here with this perpetual transmutation of energy is always in motion. It's always moving in circular patterns, and everything is energy, and everything vibrates at a frequency. So if you find that something that you're dealing with or something that you're focused on is in a negative frame of mind, what can you do to change it? What's the cause of it? What steps can you take to make the situation different next time? Because remember, everything happens in circles. And so if you're struggling with this, it's probably going to come back around, because that's just the way that life works. Okay? I think that's basically about it as far as this goes. I just kind of wanted to give you an understanding of what it is and what you could do to make it work for you, because that's what this is about, is learning how to make the laws work for you, so that you can make your life a little bit easier, a little bit happier, and then spread that light to other people. So I think that's about it for tonight. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in this thread or post it on the page. That's fine. My computer is actually going to restart, so I do have to cut this short, otherwise it's just going to cut me off. Excuse me. So if you're catching this, once my computer is restarted, my plan was actually to pull some cards as a group. So once my computer restarts, I will do that. I will be back on to pull some cards for the group, or individually if we need to. Okay, and I'm getting the countdown now. So perpetual transmutation of energy. Everything vibrates. Everything happens in circles, and it doesn't always stay bad. And if it's bad, let's try to focus on something on the opposite end of the spectrum. And it doesn't even need to be the opposite end of the spectrum. It just needs to be something that changes your outlook on things for a little bit. Okay? Some people use saging. I think I shared earlier in one of the videos about cleansing your personal space and how that helps to raise your vibration up. That can help. To do that, you can use sage. I don't use sage too much in my house because my husband does not like the smell of it, but you can use incense, you can use music, you can use the little Tibetan hand cymbals, singing bowls. You can just give the house a good scrub, just wash everything. You can totally do that, and that helps to change the energy of the space a little bit. And what that'll allow you to do is see things in a more positive frame of mind. I like to do that. I had a rough weekend this weekend. I'm just not in a good mood. And so I just did a little cleaning, and it just kind of like helped to raise me up a little bit. It's kind of what the smell of bleach is for to me. Feel bad? Bleach the tub. So my eyes look really freaky. So anyway, I'm not possessed, and I don't think I have an archangel with me, but my eyes are really glowing. So we're going to start in a little while, and I will pull some cards. And if you're seeing this now, just know my computer is about to restart, so I cannot continue at this point. So I'm going to maybe continue a little bit later when I reboot and pull up some cards for everyone.